May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be now and always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Good morning. My name is Mkhuseli. I am the rector of the parish of All Saints in Plumstead in the Diocese of Cape Town. I'm also a chaplain to the Bernard Mizeki Men's Guild in the Diocese of Cape Town. Today is Father's Day, and so I want to first begin by wishing all fathers a very happy and blessed Father's Day. I'm not just wishing all the biological fathers here. I'm also wishing all those who carry the responsibility of fatherhood and those who are father figures in many respects, in their families, in the communities, and in those who look up to them for the model of fatherhood. And so you can be assured that I'm not just talking about males, because those responsibilities are not only borne by those who are male by birth. And so I wish all of those people a wonderful Father's Day today. I want to focus on the Old Testament lesson as we speak about the theme of fatherhood that I was given by the Green Anglicans team. But I want to theme it as fatherhood from God's perspective. I'm using the story of Abraham to illustrate that, because I believe that with the story of Abraham, we are assured that from the onset, God wanted to model the nations and the world on a family structure. And Abraham was, from the word go, placed by God's desire, by God's design, as he who was going to be the father of all the nations. And so when we read this story, we begin to hear how the advent of that vision of God, of this father who was going to carry God's purposes for the rest of the nations, is illustrated in Abraham's role. And so I want to begin by saying that it is a story of family, where we hear there's different people involved, the characters of Sarah, Isaac, Hagar, and Ishmael. It is not an easy story, as you all know how our own families are not so easy to lead as those who carry this responsibility of leading families. Yet, this is a story that gives us a sense that there is a sort of identity that is linked to this ancestor Abraham, which we are pointed to by reading this text. As I said before, that he is the father of all nations. How does he play this role? In the difficulty of Abraham's own family life, we are not assured that the task of leading families is an easy one. When we hear about the idea of fatherhood of Abraham, we can see that it's not common. It's not the common story stories that we hear about when it comes to fathers and fatherhood in our time. We know that we often hear reports about fathers who are unloving, fathers who are cruel, fathers who are beating, fathers who are killing, fathers who are raping. But the story of Abraham shifts our attention, because we are brought to see what God's heart is for those who are called to be fathers. It is a story of love, the love of a father for his family. Even though the story of Hagar and Ishmael in this passage can be interpreted as a sad story, but one notes that Abraham as a father is able to hold all these tensions between Hagar and Ishmael and Sarah and Isaac. He's able to hold them together, and it doesn't stop to overflow with love for all of them involved. He does this because he fears God in the story. He relies on God to lead him and guide him as to what do I do now. And this on its own reminds us of the importance of a praying father, the power of a praying father who draws strength from God's own person. And he then is able to show his love his love to his family, both Sarah and Isaac and Hagar and Ishmael, and he has respect for all of them. When he hears that he then has to release Hagar and Ishmael, his heart is broken within him. And yet he continues to prove to them that I send you with my love. And when he consults with God, it is only because he has this deep respect for those to whom who have been entrusted to him. And so we can learn a thing or two from this story, especially on this very important day, friends, that there is an invitation to be embracing, loving, respectful, and self-giving fathers. When we do this, we then are getting into a position where we are modeling a different picture of our role as fathers, because we take after God in loving those who are given to us to care and protect for them. And so this is an invitation to be loving. This is an invitation to be forgiving. This is an invitation to be gentle. This is an invitation to be humble, to be compassionate, so that as we love and we continue to nurture our families, even as young people growing up, to be these fathers. Today we hear many reports about abusive young people in relationships. How do we then change this perspective? How do we change the narrative so that even young people may have models of good fatherhood to look up to, and so that our claim of the headship of our families may not be under question? Because those who see us and those who love us are not uncertain about following our actions because they are not leading towards the right direction. But if we embrace a fatherhood that is modeled upon God's own love for those whom he created, which we see displayed in Abraham throughout his story, then God will continue to assure us that we are the example upon which the world can model what fatherhood means for itself. May we have a blessed Father's Day. May we continue to be filled with God's care. May we continue to be filled with God's love. May we continue to be filled with God's compassion, so that as we continue to celebrate the gift of fatherhood, we may be reminded that we are taking God's own role and leading everybody to be embraced into the father heart of a loving God, now and forever. Amen.